Welcome back to Retro Life for You. Today we're crash landing on a desolate alien world to revisit the 1985 sci fi classic Enemy Mine. This is the story of two sworn enemies, a human and an alien, forced to survive together, and in the process learn what it truly means to be human. We'll dive into its troubled pre productions, the incredible performances, behind the scenes stories, casting changes, and why this underrated gem deserves another look. I am Chris Adams, host of the show, and the trusty sidekick himself,
Woohoo!
Travis Raleigh.
Chris Adams.
I did not know you speak Drac. I didn't know that. How about
So,
that?
so many, I didn't know that one of their all-time great generals was on a little show called He-Man, Merman.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It reminds you straight up of Merman.
Right off the bat.
Oh my gosh. So you got to watch the movie last week. I watched it the week before that, so we're both ready to
Yes.
go on it. What did
I
you
was
now? These
experiencing technical issues last week.
Yeah,
What?
we had to we had to postpone recording a week, but luckily we had a couple to the side ready to go, so we were covered. Uh, when was the last time you'd seen this before last week, or had you seen it before last week?
My dad had watched it when I was younger, and I guess back then it didn't interest me that much. And I've seen partials of it, bits and pieces of it here and there.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't think I had seen all of it, but I have. I just didn't recall. There wasn't if there was anything I missed, it was just like a couple of scenes. But I would say probably late '90s, early 2000s had been the last time that I had seen anything on it.
I don't remember watching this movie when I was a kid, but there's something strangely familiar about it when I watched it a couple weeks ago. So I'm thinking what it is that it was one of these movies that was a rental that my mom picked up for me probably, and I sat there and watched it while doing something else and halfway paid attention, halfway didn't.
Yeah,
You know,
I feel like a younger audience wouldn't be that interested in it. I mean, honestly, because it came out in what 1985. So my dad was probably watching it. I was 6 or 7, and it was probably on. It was either on cable or a rental. And like I said, at the time, it didn't interest me, but I did remember. Uh, it was either the recollection of having seen it or knowing the storyline behind it. One of the two is one of the things that made me want to do uh, an episode on it because it is. I feel like as you for an older audience, I feel like it's a pretty special movie to me. I think it's the way it, especially in nowadays climate and social climate, the way it is a and it's meant to be kind of a not a retrospective, what they call it, a reflection of humanity and how racism and stuff kind of affects us and how that you can come together and you know what I mean? Like it's just, but it's put in a sci-fi setting.
I mean that's basically what it was. It was sci-fi racism. I mean, you're talking about the alien race, well, the human race, and they're there to basically, I guess at this point, eradicate the drag. They're
Right.
like a reptilian alien race,
Hmm.
and that they don't know a whole lot about other than what they're aliens, and
That's it.
they don't take the time to try to be diplomatic or anything. I don't, well, at least not in the movie. Now we don't know what happened. I don't think too well, years prior to what this setting is in the
It's
movie.
kind of, they just kind of, the kind of what they gave us, I think, is that the humans were out exploring and
Hmm.
settling planets, and the
Right.
Drac were doing the same, but the Drac didn't go in and terraform and take over the rule of the planet. So where the humans would go in and take over rule of the planets, much as we do, just among this planet in territories, uh, we were doing that in the solar system. Which, if that ever, if Elon Musk ever has his way, then we'll, you know what I mean. Mars will be the first one we do that way too.
We will colonize Mars and make it our own. Are you going to be on the first spaceship out?
No,
No, they can have
that's
it.
not
I
going
don't
to happen.
want it.
That's not going to happen in our lifetime.
No, it's not. And for the people that believe it, you give me a good giggle, thank you. I mean,
You're right.
it's not going to be. Um, yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's like directly of a form of it's like watching an outer space sci-fi version of racism that we experience here and everything, where one group doesn't like the other group because of how they look and what they do, how they
Hmm.
act, and with no real understanding because neither side wants to give the other the understanding of what they're doing. They just want to fight.
Right.
And then so you get these 2 pitted against each other because he's trying to shoot him down, and he hit I guess he hits him at one point, but he doesn't blow him up. So he's
Hmm.
chasing him down trying to finish the job, and they get caught up in the atmosphere of that planet, and both of them crash land.
Yes.
And his, Dennis Quaid, of course,
Da
plays he
Davidge.
yeah, yeah, what's his name again? Hold on.
Davidge.
Yeah, Willis Davidge. They're, of course, the human race, him and his partner dies in the crash. Um, and Louis Gossett Jr. plays the role of the Drac, Jariba Shigan, and he just calls him Jerry.
Yes.
Um, and so
Jerry. I
I
love
guess
that too.
he manages
your,
to get out of
your
his
Mickey
ship.
Mouse is a big stupid dope.
Yeah, right. Well, okay, we're gonna get back to that in just a
I'm
minute,
sorry.
though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Hey, I went
no,
too soon. I went too soon.
it's okay. We're gonna come back around to that. There's an inside joke on that in the movie, the whole Mickey Mouse thing. You'll get it in a minute for sure. But yeah, and whenever they crash land, Dennis Quaid's mad because his partner died,
Hmm.
and he's gonna go find the Drac, and he's gonna take him out. So, which he does miserably. He fails at it and loses
Well,
his gun
it's
into
really
the
neat too. I
water.
like I said, I think especially being 45 and the the journey that I've been on with my cinematic taste, and you know what I mean, through the years, this movie is really, honest to God, it's better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
Because after doing the podcast with you, it's changed the way that I've done that I watch movies, that I enjoy movies too. There's a lot of times like the new Superman. I'm just sitting here, just flat out having fun with a Silver Age comic movie, and but I'm also at the same time I'm analyzing it as
There's
well.
there was a lot
You
not
know?
to like about it, but a lot understandably to like about it based on the new way they were doing some things. So
Yeah. So watching this, like when he first came up, when he started stalking Jerry, at Jerry's crash site, and when you first see it, it's like it really does a spectacular job of giving the human perspective on the Drac, because the way that he's acting and conducting himself, and his body, I guess, is built more for the survival without clothing or whatever. It looks like he's just this primal animal type creature.
right.
It does a real good job of kind of showing that part of it off, I think.
And then the two of them finally come together and realize they need each other if they're going to survive.
Hmm.
One of them just can't do it on their own. Like Davidge has knowledge on building some good shelters and stuff, and that's what they're trying to do is build a shelter that will withstand.
Maybe, because
Maybe,
when he first started, Jack looked at it and said, "It's shit."
right. And that was hilarious too.
It was like the first couple words he learned.
Yes,
It is the way we always learn when we learn French or Spanish or Russian. We always
it's
learn
always the
cuss
bad
words first.
words. Always
That's
the bad
always,
words. Right. What's Somebody asked me one day when I was younger, could you speak Spanish? I said just enough to get my butt kicked.
that's
you
right.
know, yeah, not very nice, but I do know some words. But and I don't think I didn't notice that either when he said that. That's the first thought I had. Some of the first words you always learn with another language is always the bad words or the slang words or something.
Right.
So it was very funny. But then they start getting to know each other a lot better.
Hmm.
The longer they're with each other, and they realize they have to have each other to survive. They start getting along a little bit better. And then, but there's still arguments and there's still fights.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
goes through too. Like there's a year they end up spending like a year or two together as well.
I want to say it was
It seems
like a year almost. They were on that planet.
yeah, and they had gone for months without seeing anyone. And then, okay, so with the shelter and everything, what kind of forced them? What what really kind of forced them together to start working together. There's meteorites, and meteors fall on this planet pretty
Right.
regularly. So, so Jerry captured Davidge, and the meteors came, and they ended up jumping into a cave. And then that's when they started trying to build the shelter and all, and take care of each other. And then they have this thing that basically like an ant lion that that eats the other creatures, and that's cool too. They do the little prelude to the shells, because remember how the monster like spit that shell out,
Right.
and you don't think anything of it there when it happens.
But the shells are very protective for them. Yeah, it withstands the
Yeah,
meteorite blast that land.
yeah. They end up withstanding the meteorites, and then so yeah, them building the shelter out of that, and then teaching each other's language, and then Jerry ended up saving him from that creature, and that was the part when I think that when they started really coming together too is so Jerry's learning his language and all, but Jerry's got a necklace that's like a little metal book
Mm-hmm.
that he's always reading. And Davidge asked him, like, what is that? And I forget the name. I forget the name of their teacher. The
I
equivalent of their Buddha or Jesus or whatever. But it was the book on his teachings, and come to find out they're a very peaceful race, or not necessarily peaceful, but very tolerant. And it talks about uh, hatred and forgiveness and love and stuff like that. So then Jerry starts learning how to read it. It's a great sign of respect for in the Drac culture. So Jerry becomes his teacher. He gives him his book, and he says he's not worthy. Drac said, "I'm not worthy, but I guess there's no one else, so I'm your teacher now." So
now,
that I think that's part that really brought him
but
close.
where was it that the Mickey Mouse come into play? Because he's telling him about his person that his
What
for
was
their
it he
teaching.
said? It was a quote. It's a quote that he said something. Davish said something, and then Jerry was like, "What?" Like, it was. You must have a great shishmar. Shishmar. That's it. Shishmar. So he said, "Do you have a shishmar on your? Shishmar because it's like one of the same teachings that Shishmar had. It's like a saying that Shishmar had." And but I cannot remember the quote. But it's so funny. He's like, it's Mickey Mouse, kind of like that. Like he like he compared Mickey Mouse to their Shishmar.
And it took them quite a few takes to get that. When he calls his your Mickey Mouse is a dope, a stupid dope or something. It took
Yeah,
them a bunch of takes to get that right because Dennis Quaid kept cracking up and laughing at it. And the one take where you hear that they kept, where he kind of goes and he snorts a little bit and walks off.
yeah.
That was the closest he come to not
Not
laughing.
busting out laughing.
Right, and they kept it purposely so people would understand that there's supposed to be some type of a humor between them.
Yeah.
So, uh, I don't know. I was trying to find that quote if I could. I'm not finding it though. I was really wanting to know what the quote was.
I forgot what it was. Something about, you just pick yourself up by the bootstraps and keep going or something. I mean, it's some kind of something about not giving up or something like that.
It's like
I
Jerry
remember
tells him.
exactly what it was.
Jerry tells him, "Humans easy, you give up." Shishmar teaches us, "Intelligent life takes a stand." And I think he responded to him with something about Mickey Mouse or something.
Yeah.
A quote
I
that was
wish I
from
could
Mickey
remember the
Mouse.
quote because it was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, let's go over real quick the people that were in the movie. Talk about that for a second. Dennis Quaid, we've mentioned. It was Willis Davidge. He's one of your main two stars. Known for The Right Stuff in 1983, Inner Space in 1987, The Big Easy in 1986. These days, did you know he's got a band? He does music.
It seems like everybody's doing that these days. What
I
was
know.
Keanu
Uh,
Reeves' Dog Star?
I mean, he's got, and I think it's got something to do with a cross between like like he does some blues music, I think, as well as he does like gospel music too. I think a little
Oh,
bit of a mix of
okay.
stuff.
He's still doing movies too and TV. He's working right up to like right now. There's a movie called Sovereign,
Mhm.
broke TV series called Happy Face. He's done 8 episodes of. So I mean, he's still going strong. I like Dennis Quaid. I think he's a good actor.
What's your favorite Dennis Quaid movie?
Man,
I got mine right now, but go ahead and tell me yours.
it's gonna be a hard one for me. It's probably gonna be. It's messed up. Honestly, it's probably gonna be Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire.
All right, I like Undercover Blues.
Right, Undercover Blues was good. Who is also he's also the second best Doc Holliday in Wide Earp.
Yeah, but I mean, he was
That
in
one,
the.
he only had that one line that even come close to it, though. When he said, he said, "You know what, Morgan? Wide Earp is my friend, but I do believe I love you." Y'all, look, we talk about Tombstone all the time. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Tombstone first, even if you have, just understand Wide Earp doesn't hold a candle, but Wide Earp is still an amazingly good movie.
Wyatt Earp is the more historical version, I think,
And it
of
follows his life more. It's
yes.
more about Wyatt Earp.
It's more of a Wyatt Earp movie than it is about Tombstone.
Right,
Tombstone was just about that time frame around where they go to Tombstone to make a life for themselves, and what
right.
happens there to shoot out the OK Corral and everything and all that good stuff.
Oh, you know what else too? I forgot about. Wasn't Dennis Quaid in that movie where the boy's talking to his daddy through the radio?
I was gonna bring it up to you, Frequency.
Frequency.
That's a great movie.
That one's probably up there for me too.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good movies for sure. Not, I mean, it's just overall great. Lou Gossett Jr. as Jerry Shigan. He's the alien
Jerry,
Drac. He was
what's your
already
favorite gossip movie then? And
oh
beside, wait a minute, we gotta have one.
you can't take
Not
the
Iron
ultimate.
Eagle. You can't.
No man, come on.
Well, everybody's gonna pick Iron Eagle. So Iron Eagle aside, what's your favorite? So I guess
Man,
the real question would be, what's your second favorite Wisconsin?
yeah, that's gonna be my second favorite, not my favorite for sure. Uh,
Everybody's got to be Iron Eagle.
Man, I liked him in The Principal. I liked him in Firewalker. I liked him in An Officer and a Gentleman. Uh, it's hard to, if I had to narrow one down, probably The Principal, because I think The Principal was a really good movie with him and James Belushi.
Yeah,
Of course, he was
yeah.
in Jaw. He was in one of the most disappointing part threes of any movie in history, probably in Jaws 3D. That was a pretty good movie. It was decent, but
Jaws 3D.
if you watch it today, the little 3D aspect of it when the parts come to the screen, it looks kind of cheesy and stupid.
Right. I'm gonna have to go with this one. I think. I mean, after rewatching it, I really the way he did that, knowing that he was in full prosthetic, he did all of the voice work for himself, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think this one might be my favorite aside
And
from Iron.
he was already an Oscar winner from Officer and a Gentleman in
Right.
1982, a few years prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, well, is it Brian or Brian? I guess
I was
I'm gonna
I
call him
was gonna,
Brian.
I was gonna say Brian just to
Just a just a Brian
Brian.
James.
Brian.
Brian James is Stubbs. He's
He's
a
the
cult
bad guy.
favorite person from the Blade Runner in '82. He's in 48 Hours in 1982. He's Tango and Cash in '89. If you remember in Tango and Cash, he was Ponytail. He was Plan C, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, they put Plan C into effect on him. Fubard.
Fubard.
That's Fubard if I ever seen it. But yeah, he was one of the cops in 48 Hours that was dirty, I believe, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's always a bad guy.
Yeah. And there's one guy here listed that they listed as one of the cast members. I don't remember him, but Richard Marcus as Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Was he one of the human people on the ship or something? Or
Oh, he's not the one that. Uh, oh no, he was the one that was trying to keep it from leaving. Remember when they got him back
yeah.
at one certain point that we haven't discussed yet?
Okay. Well,
He
he
was
appeared in Tremors, it says, in 1990, and he was in the Starman TV series.
okay. Starman, that was such a good one. We've been talking about doing that one too.
But this is the TV series, not the movie, though.
Yeah,
I never watched the TV series.
I don't think I did either.
A few pre-production notes about the movie. Since we kind of covered that, that's pretty much the main part of the stars in the movie. There wasn't quite a lot of stars for this thing, so
Hmm.
as far as people they focused on a lot anyway. But it's based on the 1979 novel Enemy Mine by Barry B. Longyear. 20th Century Fox greenlit the film in the early 80s, hoping to capture the success of character driven sci fi like Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. So let's talk about that for a moment.
Hmm.
To me, nothing about Enemy Mine reminds me of Star Wars or The Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't, if it's going to remind me of anything, it's more of a Star Trek kind of thing. You
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
exploration, a little bit of fighting going on, different races of people, and learning to get along with that race of people.
Yeah,
More,
the diplomacy, and then you got the plight of the miners and stuff. I'm in 100% agreement that this is more along the line of a Star Trek type movie than a Star Wars type movie.
now, this movie came out in 85. Last Starfighter came out in 84, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that the Drac is based loosely on the character that Grig was in the last Starfighter?
It could be, or it could be too that you know what I mean. The lizard stuff going on wasn't this around? I mean, you had I don't remember exactly when the TV show V hit. Uh, I know I was young because it scared me.
I want to think I was in
So
high school when V came out, I think.
yeah. So let's see, V TV series.
Did you get an update?
I'm thinking it's around the same. It's around the same time frame of
80,
those times.
86, 86, 87?
Yeah, something like that. And then another thought that I had too. We were talking about the going to Mars and stuff too. Uh, it's been touted for a long time. If you get into conspiracy stuff, you've got the in Hollywood the lizard people. You know what I mean? Not just in Hollywood, but you got the
Well,
lizard alien race that's part of the evil underworkings or behind the scenes workings of our world too. Then
well,
you think about the what were the bad lizards? That was Journey to the Center of the Earth, wasn't it?
I believe so.
So
The
maybe it's
VTV
possible.
series, it says on IMDb, was 80. Well, the TV miniseries was in 83, and then the TV series picked up in 84 and 85.
Yeah. So see, I think the lizard thing was just kind of a motif at the moment back then too. And one of James T. Kirk's most talking about Star Trek. One of James T. Kirk's most famous scenes is him fighting the big green lizard throwing the rock. That's one that you see a lot too.
Right.
So I mean, it's possible, but then at the same time, if it came out just the year after, then the character design, I would think, before any kind of designs were leaked or let go on Starfighter, that this would have already been in production. So the creature design, would have probably been running pretty parallel.
Um, where was I at here? The pre-production, originally directed by Richard Loncraine. Now they started doing this, as I mentioned, with this Richard Loncraine to start with. He was known for Brimstone and Triacle. I don't know what that is. And The Missionary. Production began in Iceland, but the studio hated the footage. They didn't like anything about it at all. So they
Oh,
actually fired Richard Loncraine from directing it, and they replaced
oh
him
wow.
with Wolfgang Peterson. And he had done Das Boot, The Never Ending Story. He's done Air Force One later down the road. And Peterson didn't like none of the footage that was done. He
Hmm.
didn't like any of it, so he reshot everything. Nearly the entire movie was done in Munich, Germany, where it started off in Iceland. So two totally different places. They had something to do with a lot of the scenes, like for the planet, was filmed in
Hmm.
Germany. Um, some of the scenes they did with that little pond they were beside was done. They also used that same pond setting in Das Boot, and they also used it with a couple of scenes in the Neverending Story as well
Oh,
that
that's pretty
Peterson had
cool.
done. So we always talk
Must-
about reusing certain things in different movies. Usually, it's high
Yeah,
schools we hear a lot of,
right.
but
I thought it was cool that a lot of the Drac language that was created from scratch, a lot
mhm.
of it was Russian pronounced in reverse.
Yeah, just talking in reverse, talk backwards.
Yeah.
So say Das Vidanya backwards.
Das Vidanya. I don't know. I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I run now for
So, box office budget for this movie was $40 million, which is a massive sum at that time to do a movie. The U.S. grossed only um where'd it go? $12.3 million.
That's crazy.
Movie considered a flop on release, but there's a couple of reasons behind this. So, uh, flop on release, but has since gained cult status, obviously for its story, its themes, and performances, VHS rentals, TV, cable TV showings, and such. There's some reasons why that it flopped. Honestly,
Rocky
bad,
Four.
huh?
Rocky Four, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, okay, there was some other movies that was going against it didn't help, but the fact that they misadvertised the film in a sense. They made
Yeah.
it to be something that it wasn't. The original poster looked like something completely different than what the movie was supposed to be.
Hmm.
Um, there was
That and the fact that Richard Loncraine, the original director, spent around 17 million on footage that they trashed. So a
yes,
lot of that went to Dennis and Lewis, but the massive sets that they constructed that all got chucked.
right, right. So there's a number of reasons why it didn't really succeed. Um, but once again, though, like we said, it's really not a bad movie at all.
Oh, I
Some
loved it.
So some behind the scenes and production trivia to it. We always like a little trivia, right? Louis
Indeed.
Gossett Jr. spent 3 to 4 hours daily in makeup to transform into Jerry. His voice was electronically altered some to add an alien quality. However, a lot to do with his voice was something that he used to do when he was a kid. Uh, he said in a television interview that he had talked while gargling saliva as a kid, as one of those kid things. He told Wolfgang Peterson that he thought it may add a good touch to his character. Gossett performed the odd vocalizations all by himself, no mouth prosthetics or post production effects, and often does the Drac voice at convention appearances. Well, he doesn't anymore because unfortunately, Lou Gossett Jr. passed away recently. But when he was going to conventions, he would do that for the fans and all.
Right.
Um, you mentioned, of course, being Russian pronounced in reverse, which is also a pretty cool thing about it to know. Now, something about the movie that some people didn't also know. Author Barry Longyear reported at a convention that the studio insisted on adding a subplot involving a mine.
Hmm.
The title of the movie is Enemy Mine, right? So
Right.
I think the audience would not realize that the mine in the title was a possessive, as in my enemy, rather than an object. So it's basically enemy of mine,
Yes.
enemy mine.
Yes.
Not an actual physical mine that belonged to the enemy or something.
Right.
But that's
And I
that
haven't read the book, but I wonder, it makes me want to read the book or see if it's on Audible now to find out where the original storyline goes, because something that we have not mentioned is that the Drac reproduce asexually.
right.
So, um, being lizards, I guess most of the time amphibians do that instead of lizards, but we'll forget that part. um, so ends up Jerry gets pregnant and has a kid, and that adds. I feel like, especially for the ending, I would imagine that the book would have to kind of follow that part of it at least. But the miners basically kidnapping him and everything. That's also another thing that creates an awesome dynamic too. Having mixed family, and in my family, a lot of it. Um, Jerry or what's his Davidge? Davidge and the boy, the connection that they build, Uncle Will or Uncle, what
He
did he call him? He
he
called him
just
Uncle
call he
Will.
just he just calls him uncle all the
He just calls
time.
him Uncle.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Matter of fact, when he comes back to the planet after being rescued, and he comes back to rescue him, the other Drac that are
oh, that's
enslaved
right. You
there.
are Uncle. Of course we know
Yeah,
you.
you're
Yeah,
uncle. That's
you
right.
are Uncle. Yeah. So yeah, that adds a big dynamic to it where he comes back. But it's cool too during the story. He's like, why don't I look like you? Why do you have 5 fingers and I have 4 or 3 or whatever it was. And you know, it was a cool dynamic too because it shifted because so even though Jerry and Davish kind of insulted and went at each other, you could tell that there was a super strong bond. But then the way and as such happens in our society too is once again I've seen members of my family completely change their feelings and outlooks because of children and the love that he ends up cultivating with the boy or the child uh you why don't I want to look like you. He said, hey, you're a handsome kid as far as Drac goes. but you know what I mean, like he ends up loving him.
Yeah, and then that's another one of them things we talked about earlier based on it reminded us of just like a sci-fi racism thing. Then you start seeing where you mentioned they're becoming like a family, the two of them.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of like the equivalent of being like an interracial family that we have in these days and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and within that movie, that was unheard of. That was a time frame where something like that. Matter of fact, they were when they took his body back up there thinking he was dead, and he wasn't. They were talking about how the Drac had converted him or something, or that he was
Yeah,
a
because he was speaking the Drac language when he was
right,
kind of in and out of consciousness.
right, and they were looking at him differently and everything from that point. And then he leaves to go rescue the kid, and
Yeah.
so, I mean, then it goes on to tell about how he goes on to go to the Drac, and he recites Jerry's lineage. I think it is, isn't it?
Yes. So Jerry. So we'll go ahead. So we'll say if you do want to watch the movie and don't want any spoilers, mute the next probably 3 to 5 minutes. Um, yeah, I'll give you time.
Mhm.
So during the labor, I guess you say the childbirth, Jerry passes. So while it's before he has the child or whatever, um, he asks Davidge about his mother and father, and he tells him what great respect that it is to know another person's lineage. So he tells Davidge his lineage, and Jerry knows he's dying, so he tells him you have to take care of the child, and then you have to go before the council on my home world and recite his lineage for him to be accepted into the Drac Society. They won't accept him into the Drac Society without reciting, without the lineage recital. So it's like the greatest honor that Jerry could bestow upon him, not just to take care of the child, but to go forth and recite his lineage. And then what was it? They named the kid Willis Davidge as well, so he became part of the lineage.
Yeah,
Or when the boy had his own child, it tells you at the end.
yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool the way they explained it. Now the book will probably go into much more greater detail of
Mm-hmm.
that very thing and everything, and that would probably be cool. I wouldn't mind actually getting the audiobook of that myself and listening to it one day. That
Yeah,
would be really
I
pretty
think I'm
cool.
going to. I think I'm going to look it up and see if we got it.
You never know, might be. Um, let's see here. Uh, Dennis Quaid's look evolved. Peterson wanted him scruffy and rugged, but early shots had him too Hollywood polished. It says so. I guess the lawn crane when he was doing it had him looking more slick, more sleek looking and stuff like that. And Peterson come in and said, "No, we got to have him looking scruffy and rugged." Where have we heard that at before? Han
There's a
Solo.
couple of times, yeah.
Han Solo. He's trying to make it more Han Solo,
So,
like it sounds like. The Alien World was almost entirely shot on sets in Bavaria studios in Germany with detailed landscapes built indoors. And the bond between Quaid and Gossett actually grew off screen as well. mirroring their character relationships they had in the movie. They became pretty close friends while filming the movie. So I guess we got a little bit of stuff, in the movie and out of the movie.
In and out.
Alternate castings. I always like this part. Edward James Olmos reportedly auditioned for the role of Jerry before Gossett Jr. was cast. Studio executives originally wanted a bigger box office draw for Davidge with names like Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford. Go figure, scruffy and rugged.
Right.
Um, but Quaid ultimately got the role fresh off the right stuff. And,
I
as
was
we
reading
all.
I was reading something earlier too that author Barry Longyear said that the Drax name Jariba Shigen was meant to be a tribute to James Shigeta, who he would have liked to have seen as the Drac, who was a Hawaiian actor. He was Hawaiian born. James Shigeta was the biggest East Asian U.S. star the country had known for decades. So he filled both A-list movies and TV series, and he played Takagi in Die Hard. Now, I don't remember exactly who that was, but he was,
Takagi?
yeah.
That was the guy that owned the building.
Okay, so that was the guy that he's talking about.
Okay.
For those,
So, when it comes to the movie itself, throw out a couple of questions for you here. Do you think the film was ahead of its time in tackling issues like racism, war, and unity and everything?
I think 100% it was because it was meant to be. I feel like that was meant to be the underlying tone of it, and it was meant to be uh, a look, a reflection of humanity at that moment. So, the way it was received, aside from the other blockbusters it was up against, the budget ballooning to 40 million, and the audience may feeling like they had gotten a misdirect. I feel like even if those things weren't factors, it still would have been kind of above everybody's head for the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of touched on this already, but what do you think Enemy Mine says about prejudice and overcoming hatred? Do you think the message still holds up well today,
I
or
think
what?
the message holds up better today. I think it's even better today because we talk about this too in our society. How like it, I don't know if it was or it wasn't realistically, but it seemed like there was more unity in the '90s than there is now. There was it seemed like there was less segregation, and for for all of the outward appearances or prejudices, for my state of residence, South Carolina, I've had people move here from all over the country and say, dude, this place is not what I thought it was going to be. This is like the most least racist place I've ever been. People hold doors for each other. They speak to one another. We say, excuse me, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please, thank you. And we do that to everyone. It doesn't matter who it is. That's the way we were raised. If y'all don't say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, it don't matter what color you are. My grandma or grandpa or mama or daddy will smack me in the back of the head. It don't matter.
Right?
You know what I
You
mean?
get,
Like you
you get
show
the Gibbs
respect.
slap.
That's right. You show respect to everyone in public until it's time to not.
I think it's a lot of down here. I think there's a big misconception of the South in general because you get kind of um, a broad paintbrush goes across and paints every state, every person the same way as what you've heard about people in the past and everything. Now, that's
Mhm.
not to say there's not still some bad places.
Of course.
There's bad places in Tennessee.
Yeah.
There's great places here in Tennessee too. It's like you just said, we treat everybody fairly here the same way. Like you said, you show respect, you do courteous things, and that's just how you were raised to do and how to treat people. And then you get, I've heard the same thing here in Tennessee. It's not, I thought it was going to be really bad when I came here, but it's really not that bad at all.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not sure what you heard, but we hear strange things about California. We hear weird things about coming from New York,
Hmm.
in different areas. And I don't know if it's true. I'm not there. I've never been there before. but
Right.
it'll be a culture shock for me if I got there and it is the same way they describe it because I'm so used to things being done a certain way here.
Yeah.
You know, um, I agree with everything you said, though. I mean, I think it does in the '90s probably was a little bit better, and I think it was a little bit better because now we have we had two political parties then, we have two political parties now, but the difference is now it's extremely to the left and extremely to the right.
Yeah, everything's a lot more extreme. That's another thing about back then. I remember, coming up, our parents and grandparents didn't talk about politics. That's the one thing that friends don't do. You know what I mean? They didn't talk about who they were voting for. They didn't talk about, they just didn't. They might talk about the state of the country. Like the most you would get was, did you vote? No. Well, then you got no room to say nothing. That was like the most we got. We didn't get, my grandfather wouldn't even tell me who he was voting for. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's like it was a big deal because they knew that those kinds of things created tension between people, and you also had the explosion, and maybe not the birth, but the explosion of hip hop in the '90s, bro. So everybody was wearing overalls with one side unhooked, and the Bugs Bunny and Taz wearing the crisscross club. You know what I mean? Like
I
we was
wouldn't
all
say
doing the same thing,
everybody.
man.
I wouldn't say everybody was
Not
doing
everybody,
it.
but it was a lot of us. We was all doing the same thing.
I would have looked all kinds of goofy wearing something like that when I was that age.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, you're right. It was a big explosion of that new style and look and music and everything coming out, and it made a change in some things. Um, let's see. I had one down here for you. The film. That's no, that wasn't it. Which character moment, or which moment of the movie hit you the hardest? The rivalry between the rivalry. I'll say it right in a second. Between the two, their friendship or the parent-child storyline.
Um, I'm going to say the parent-child storyline because you go through those things with Jerry and Davidge, and then like the kid is Jerry's legacy. That's his legacy that he's leaving behind. And then there's moments like he was telling him what a great honor it was to know his lineage and this and that. And then when you see the child's innocence and all he's ever known, he's never seen another member of his race. All he's ever known is Davidge. So I feel like that part of it makes the back half of the movie makes the front half more special, or it makes it
Mhm.
more meaningful.
Right, right. For
How
me,
about
I
you,
think
Seth?
it's for me. I think it's the friendship part because that's kind of broad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they start out as a rival. They start getting closer with each other when they realize they have to depend on each other to get by and survive, and that friendship grows from there, blossoms from there, and grows from there, and it gets stronger as they go. That also includes, Jerry getting pregnant, being pregnant with that, with the child and everything. That kind of includes that in a way,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that his friend that he has now and Davidge has to be there for him and help him with the child and ultimately take care of the child because now he is a loss of his friend as well that he's been
Yeah,
with all this time and got to know so closely and everything. So that's kind of a hard moment of it when you see that they spend all this time learning each other, teaching each other, growing closer to each other, just to have him die in that situation
right.
and not be around anymore. And then there's the kid that's left behind to take care of, and of course reminds you of Jerry and everything. And I believe he was growing at a fast rate too. Like they grow at a faster rate than when he
Way
was.
faster. Yeah, because he was like a 7 or 8, 9, 10 year old in months, the equivalent of
Yeah,
it
yeah.
seemed like.
So we talked about this a little bit. The film had a huge budget but flopped. Do you think this was due to mostly to poor marketing, the pacing of the movie, the audience is not connecting with the story at the time, or something different?
I think it was that, and the fact that the original budget was 17 million and was already spent by the time that they fired the first. the first guy.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
in fact, the poor
but yeah,
marketing,
I
like
think
I mentioned
the
earlier, had a
poor
lot to do with it
marketing.
too.
Yeah, I would say the poor marketing and being up against the other shows that it was up against, the movies coming out at the time.
Now,
Um,
I'm not so sure it's got anything to do with the audiences not connecting with the story, though. I think the audiences probably that watched it and liked it probably connected with the story just fine.
yeah, those who would have went to see it, I don't think that would have had quite the impact on it, that other factors would have, because it's not saying that when I said that it would go went over the audience's head, I'm sure it did go over a lot of audiences' heads, but at the same time, movies like other movies that are, I'm not going to say as much like this as much as it is that they have a tone or a meaning that was possibly really progressive for the time, like The Crying Game, or like some other type movies that kind of deal with those certain types of things
Yeah.
that maybe weren't box office smashes, but in the end ended up doing well. As also, there's a reason for that.
If Enemy Mine was remade today, who would you have play the two major parts, and would you keep it the same? If not, what would you change about it?
Oh man, that's a good one. I wasn't expecting that one. Um, Made today. Dang, I'm not sure that it would. I'm not. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of actors that could pull it off, because I don't think that it was. I don't think what made the movie so great was necessarily the star power as much as it was the story. You know, I feel like you could just. I'm really honestly feel like you could throw some names in a bag of good drama actors. Actors that are known for drama in particular, and would have been able to do it. And we stay away from making one of them female so that we had a different dynamic. You know what I
It
mean?
doesn't have to
But
be that modern. I mean,
yeah, we stay away
and
from that.
and
And
honestly, it
we're
doesn't
pretty
have to
good.
be. It doesn't honestly have to be well-known names either. I mean,
That's
you
what I'm
don't have,
saying.
yeah, you don't have to go out and get a Robert Downey Jr.,
Mm-mm.
or anything like that, anybody like that. You could get two relatively unknown names or just breaking into the business names,
Yeah.
and
And you know what? They did that with I mean, of course there were some big names for the time, but you take Peter Jackson and what he did with Lord of the Rings, and at the time the majority of the cast was pretty unknown. Jonathan Reyes Davis, uh, uh Christopher Lee, and Ian McClellan were probably the biggest known names at the time. And of course, man, I'm in love with her. Galadriel. What's her name? Can't remember. But anyway, aside from those few bigger names, that entire cast was pretty
uh, I'm sorry,
unknown.
Kate Blanchett.
Blanchett.
It hit me a second after you said it. I mean, I was like, "Oh, you're talking about Kate Blanchett." Yeah,
Yeah.
but then you brought in names like Viggo Mortensen and, um, gosh, who was Legolas?
Yeah. See, Legolas was a big deal, but he didn't gain big Orlando Bloom. He didn't gain huge star power until right after that, when he did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right, exactly.
So
All
yeah,
right,
I think
well,
if you take the story. I think that the story is so good in this that you could pretty much just pick somebody, and as long as they have some decent uh, drama side of their acting skills, they could have done. I mean, I wouldn't grab somebody like Adam Sandler to do any of it, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
mm,
you wouldn't want a comedian. I would want someone who's known for dramas or who is drama focused.
right. Well, is there anything else that you want to add about the movie before we close out today?
I don't think so. Just the fact that I was really surprised that it was better than I thought it was. I mean, it was better than what I remember. I wanted to do it because I did know the storyline, and I knew it was a good movie, but it really is, in my opinion, to be much better than what I remembered or what I was expecting going into rewatch.
Yeah. I say go into it with an open mind. Don't expect to have a Star Wars experience with a lot of, like there's no lightsaber fights and, lots of ships blasting each other out of the air. There's not a lot
Right.
like that, but you get a little bit of action to it, a lot of drama, a lot of story development, and it's a good story it builds up to.
And
And
it's
I
not too
think
long. They cut it off just
no,
in time.
right. It's not
Not
too
one of these
long,
two
it's
and a
not too
half hour,
short.
3 hour movies, you know?
Right. And it's just long enough where you could get that good storyline developed and get into it and then have the the drama hit and
Mhm.
then, get your little heroic ending to it in a sense with Dennis Quaid going back to rescue the child and everything. So it's very good, and I definitely highly recommend watching the movie at least once. I mean, it may not be something you want to go back and watch every year or nothing like that, and that's understandable because
Yeah.
most movies like that are the really, you know, groundbreaking and action packed and or just downright funny or wherever your taste in movies is. That's the reason why you watch them over and over. This is
Yeah.
just a good, just a really good watch,
Mhm.
and then go from there. So all right, well, that brings us to the end of today's journey of Into Enemy Mine, a film that might not have conquered the box office back in 1985, but left a lasting impression with its themes of survival, brotherhood, and breaking down barriers. We've seen how Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. carried the story with powerful performances, even under heavy makeup and grueling production challenges. We've talked about its rocky start with one director, its rebirth under Wolfgang Peterson, and how a story about two enemies on a desolate planet ended up becoming one of the more thoughtful sci-fi tales of the 80s. What I love most about Enemy Mine, though, is that it reminds us that sometimes the greatest stories aren't about starships or laser battles, but about people, as I was mentioning them just a moment ago, actually, or in this case, species learning to understand one another. So, what do you think? Was Enemy Mine an underrated gem, or did it miss the mark for you? Could a modern remake capture the same magic, or would you lose something in translation? We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Reach out to us on social media at Facebook or Instagram. Drop us a comment where you're listening. Uh, our email, as always, is retrolife4you@gmail.com. You can reach out to us there and give us your remarks as well. And as always, thanks for joining us here on Retro Life for You. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to follow the show, share it with your fellow retro movie fans, and leave a review to help more people discover the podcast. So, Travis,
Oh, yeah. Or to help us improve.
you got anything for us on the way out the door?
Hey, yeah, I was talking to Jerry. You know what an alien's favorite place on the computer is?
Oh, where?
The space bar. Ah, ah, ah.
Bye, everybody.